Finally, this body is mine. Not for long. Thank you to our final patrons, Strawbones, Red4765, Midnight Gemlord, and Sean. Now, before this breakdown / discussion on the reborn Sukuna. Now, she'll be jumped. He'll be jumped so bad, it'll be the worst jumping we have ever seen. Like, legitimately, it'll be a jumping for the jumpings, by the jumpings, of the jumpings. Please don't forget to leave your own thoughts on Sukuna getting jumped in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, hit that little notification bell so you miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below in support for Fizzle as $1 a month. You like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You can also now become a member of the channel for as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Now, let's hop into the discussion. What's up, guys? Uncle Pumps here, and here we are to talk about the great jumping of the King of Curses by literally everybody. Like 100,000 million, like I think every person in the Culling games is going to show up right now and try to get their ones with Sukuna, and it's just going to turn into the ultimate jump fest, and I am undeniably excited if this ends up happening, because there are really two paths I see. I may even make an alternate video talking about the other path in full and what I think it could mean for the narrative. However, I do think the main path we could be going down right now is a Sukuna jump fest, and here's why, right? Notice the rule that Yorozu added right before running off. Players are now fully capable of exiting and entering colonies at will. And we know for a fact one of the biggest, heftiest, juiciest issues that the Culling games had is that once you got in, you couldn't get out. Both for like a safety front, as in like you literally just couldn't leave. Like, if you ran out of food within the barrier, I guess you're starving to death because you can't walk out. And two, as Yorozu mentioned, yeah, you kind of don't get to choose your own battlefield. So say you run up a whole bunch of points in your one colony, and then there's like nobody left because they either A, slaughter them all, and or B, they're all hiding from you. You're kind of just stuck out of luck. You're kind of just left to sit around. But the ability to freely move between colonies allows for more diverse and more interesting fights between characters who would usually never meet. And admittedly, I was hoping for something like this earlier in the Culling games. Hypothetically, we could see characters like Ryu and Kashimo interact. We could see characters like Uro and, I guess not Maki, but Uro and other characters interact. We could see a whole bunch of interesting combinations. Well, actually, Uro and Higuruma would be a very interesting fight, even though Uro should slam him. But regardless of that, the situation here that is unbelievable and indubitably interesting is the fact that Sukuna's here. We have a new rule that allows people to travel between colonies. And Kashimo forever ago added the ability to see all players' information, and that information includes what colony they're in. So now, admittedly, it's going to be a little bit difficult, but now every single person and their mother who ever wanted to throw hands with Sukuna, yet couldn't figure out how to get to him, like they just didn't happen to be in colony, I believe Tokyo 1, they didn't happen to be there. Now they have free and total access to reach him as quickly as they can. And of course we have characters who are already here to jump Sukuna. Like Maki's already here. And she has the back of the prison realm. So, hypothetically, we could make this jumping even worse and wake up Angel and then have her open up the back of the prison realm. And then we get Gojo out. We get Gojo versus... Okay, but that's the other video that I may or may not make. But the thing with the jumping that I'm envisioning is I'm dreaming everybody that we've met, like every last person, now realizes that something's up. Because obviously, the merging of Megumi and Sukuna creates a really weird situation. Because Sukuna is now a separate player from Itadori, but Megumi may or may not exist anymore on the player list. And that could lead to a whole ton of people noticing that and being like, hey, wait a second. Huh? And then immediately charging over to Tokyo Colony #1. And then suddenly, Sukuna's not getting jumped by just Itadori, who's fighting for his life against the King of Curses, but he's getting jumped by Maki, Hikari, Yuta, Kashimo, Ryu, Uro, everybody. Everybody coming out the woodwork. Higuruma, get them out there. And the thing is, all these characters have reasons to want to fight Sukuna. Even if indirectly. Like, Yuta's obviously going to want to fight Sukuna because, hey, that's his Kohai that just got taken over by the King of Curses, and unlike Itadori, he can't really suppress him that much. So obviously, getting him up out of that body would be something very, very important to him. Hikari, Once again, his Kohai, and as far as Hikari knows, I don't think Hikari knows that the Zenin clan is destroyed. So he's still assuming that he needs Megami alive in order to maximize his fighting ring profits. So he's gonna want to get Megami back, and that means beating Sukuna. Ryu, he's a guy who looks for the greatest fight. And sure, he was satisfied by Akotsu, but like, who's to say Ryu Ishigori, the greediest man alive, won't go for seconds against the king of curses? Come on now. Kashimo obviously wants the hands with Sukuna. It's been his whole narrative up to this point. He's been hunting, scratching, itching, fiending, fighting, and licking for a chance to throw hands with Sukuna. Uro is the only one who may not fight. Like, legitimately, I would see Yuta needing to be like, hey, Uro, I know you're trying to live a new life and all that, especially now that you can leave the colonies, but, like, do me a favor, we gotta jump this man. Even though she said, like, oh yeah, you're not gonna be on that level. He was just different. So hypothetically, Uro may have been one of the sorcerers in the past that was there to fight Sukuna, because she does recognize him and know of him. So she may be like, you know what, that's kind of out of my jurisdiction. But I could see, like, just owing one to Yuta for giving her a chance at a new life. She's like, what? Might as well. I'll hop in and I'll battle. And then obviously Maki's gonna be there. Like, there's no reason for Maki not want to save the little Fushiguro brat, especially considering, like, one of the few remaining ties she has left in the world, and the only other Zenin clan member. But I don't think she actually hates Fushiguro for that. I think, if anything, she would want someone like him to be the start of the new legacy, considering how kind and generally nice Megami is in comparison to a lot of the clan beforehand. She has a reason to fight. Obviously, Angel's whole thing was getting rid of the disgraced one. The thing is, I think they'd be dangerous to release. Like, the only reason you may want to keep them slumped is because if they realize the Fallen is right there, they're going to hijack Hana's body and immediately try to extinguish them. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that Hana's going to immediately be like, or no, Hana wouldn't want to do it. And that's where you may hit, like, analysis paralysis, where, like, Angel's trying to hijack the body. And, you know, actually, I kind of do want Gojo here now. Thinking about it, I do want Gojo, because this could lead to a beautiful thing, right? So, like, say everyone shows up. They all start jumping Sukuna. But Sukuna, he's going crazy, right? Like, Itadori underestimated Sukuna, and Sukuna's literally, like, throwing hands with Yuta and Rika. Kashimo's out here fighting for his life, even after activating his curse technique. Ryu Ishigori's missing all his darn blasts, and suddenly Sukuna copies his curse technique and is throwing them out at the same output level. You have people like Hikari getting limbs blown off, regenerating them, and trying to fight back. Like, you have all these different beasts and monsters. Maki kind of come in and soul splitter them, slicing limbs off, but Sukuna just regenerates it. You have all these different beings joining hands and, like, fighting together against the King of Curses. Even have Yorozu come back and be like, yo, I gotta throw hands with this. This is Sukuna. I need the work. Like, all these characters fighting, but it's just not enough. Like, legitimately, it starts off well enough, but Sukuna, he starts not just using his own technique. He's not just throwing around Cleave and Dismantle, but he's also throwing around, like, the 10 Shadows technique. He summons Maharaga, instantly tames it with another massive fire arrow that does a whole bunch of damage to everybody, and then bada bing, bada boom, he's dropping Maharaga left and right. He pops the domain expansion, the malevolent Chimera Shadow Garden, and suddenly all these infinite Shikigami have Cleave and Dismantle applied to them, and they're tearing through everything. And then Angel, in analysis paralysis, unable to activate her will and just, you know, execute Megami Sukuna, or Maguna, as a lot of people have been calling him now. And she's like, hey, or no, Maki runs up and is like, hey, I'll be real with you. We are not going to win this fight. And I get it. You want to extinguish him, but he seems way too powerful right now. I think if you get close, you're done. But I do know a guy who could help us out. And then she hands over the back of the prison realm and is like, in here, we have our last hope. So as Kashimo's fighting for his life using his Thunder God curse technique that's allowing him to somehow, in some way, barely keep up with Sukuna, I need you to open this box. And then Angel, in just like a moment of desperation and understanding, knowing that without Hana's full consent, they can't properly activate their curse technique, knowing that if they let this guy out, who knows, he may end up taking out Sukuna for them, and they don't even have to destroy Megami since he's not fully an incarnated sorcerer or anything like that. And they decide, fine, you know what, I'll do it. And then they clasp their hands on the prison realm back, and then suddenly Sukuna's like, wait a second, they're up. And then they lunge, and then right out, like, it could be such a gorgeous moment. Right out, you see Sukuna watch in like a mix of terror and yet excitement as Gojo Satoru, the strongest sorcerer ever, tears the back of the prison room open, lands, and he sees Maguna and is bloodlusted. Like, legitimately through the roof. There's nothing more. Like, we have never seen Gojo this angry. He's gonna make Teen Gojo in his rematch against Toji look like a toddler in terms of malice, anger, fury, everything. Because bro's been alone. He's been stewing in that box for like 2 weeks. It hasn't necessarily been that long, but 2 weeks alone is, I think, longer than any human has spent alone without going absolutely insane. All he's had is skeletons to talk to, and now he sees more skeletons, a little walking, breathing skeleton of his own son, and he's like, okay, you know what, Sukuna, I'm going to give you to the count of 5 before I reach into you and rip out every last one of those fingers myself. And then bada bing, bada boom, we have the big climactic battle between Gojo and Sukuna. But of course, we can't eliminate the Jump Fest. We can't act like not everyone else is here. And of course, Sukuna can fight the Jump Fest now that he has Chimera Shadow Garden and all the Shikigami at his disposal. And then we can redirect the fight to where it is now everybody and their mama fighting Sukuna and the Chimera Shadow Garden alongside Gojo Satoru, the strongest sorcerer. And you can have moments where everybody's looking on. Everyone's like, whoa, okay, this dude is, he's really him. You could have Ryu being like, Akotsu, why didn't you tell me about this guy? Earl being like, oh, you didn't say there was a limitless user here. Higuruma being like, golly, gee willikers, I think I am out of my depth. Is he flying? And like, you could have all these amazing different reactions from all these characters. Kashima being like, forget Sukuna, I need to run the ones with that man. And Akari's being like, if you couldn't beat me, you're not gonna beat him. We could have so many cool interactions. It would be so hype. And seeing the Chimera, I keep saying Chimera Shadow Garden, seeing the 10 Shadows technique pushed to its limit, seeing all 10 Shikigami being used at once in this barrierless domain, and seeing all these characters fight for their lives. And this would be the most beautiful moment for Itadori to awaken to his curse technique too, right? Because now that Sukuna's out of his body, now that Sukuna, the blockage essentially is not there, but his body, after being infused with Sukuna for so long, and now remembers how it feels to use the curse technique, remembers how it feels to have that cursed energy, and produces it, not to the same level. I do think Sukuna still provides an external amp that allows Yuji's curse energy to be stronger, but now it's enough. He can fight and help his friends, help prevent disaster by using the thing that made his disaster in the first place. He's using Cleave and Dismantle to fight off all of Sukuna's. Like, say Sukuna opens a Malevolent Shrine, and then for the first time ever in the entire series, we see a reverse curse technique domain expansion, Benevolent Shrine, and every single thing that's going to be sliced apart gets hit with a counter slash. And then we have Itadori in a domain expansion, a barrierless domain expansion struggle with Sukuna, the King of Curses, forcing Sukuna to open the second domain, which would be Chimera Shadow Garden, or Malevolent Chimera Shadow Garden. That would hit so different. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm just like fanboying out too hard, and I'm like overthinking it, and Gege would never do something like this, but the setup's all there. That's the thing. We have built up the entire Culling games with all these different characters, all these different people who have motivations to come here, do battle, and fight Sukuna. And the thing is, this doesn't even have to be the final battle. Like, the beautiful thing about this is that while I think it would be pretty appropriate to end the series on a gigantic cursed bout between all the characters we've known and met, you could still have another fight after this of being against the giant cursed beast. As was mentioned in the recent chapters, people of cursed energy are able to resist the merging. They are able to do that. So hypothetically, and obviously Maki being a heavenly restriction user shouldn't even be affected as she has no cursed energy to absorb, and thusly her body should still just be fine if you're worried about her. And then, like, after they beat Sukuna, they beat the life out of him, they knock him down, have Nobara, who admittedly, I'm much more in the camp where I'd be fine if Nobara was just gone. Like, trust me, I wouldn't. I'm not necessarily too hinging on her arrival, but I was talking with a friend, and they were like, no, I gotta have Nobara back. So including Nobara back, that would be the perfect way to ultimately save Megami, because we know her soul technique has resonance, and like it would be a really dark way to end it. But like, say, due to the fact that Itadori and Sukuna spent so much time together, they were literally infused creatures. They were one individual for the longest time, to the point where the massive, crazy cursed rules of the culling games were like, yeah, this is just one player, Itadori, or no, one player, Sukuna, that was already registered. Itadori, in a final act of sacrificing himself, say he's on the limit, right? Like he's holding open his benevolent shrine, he's defending everybody, but obviously, like Megami was in the domain battle with Dagon, he can't hold it forever. He still has less cursed energy than Sukuna. He's still way less experienced with things like domain expansions and all that. Heck, this is the first time he's even used the curse technique. And then Itadori's like, okay, Nobara, I need you to use resonance on me. Because we know he knows how it works. He was there in the fight with Nobara right at the end of season 1. He would completely understand how the technique worked, and it even helped him beat Mahito. And one of the biggest things, one of the most tragic and unfortunate things about Itadori is how he's pretty much destined for death. And even though he's definitely released himself from that by having Sukuna leave him, he's definitely no longer destined for death. I think it would be a beautiful way for him to go out if, in the final moments, like say Sukuna is like on the verge of doing something like absolutely insane, like Maharaga he's released like 10 Maharagas, Gojo's fighting all of them with the help of the rest of the sorcerers running around, they're all doing their best to survive, and then they realize, you know, Sukuna, he's just too him, and with Megami's technique, he's pretty much unstoppable. Nobara, see if we can stop him with resonance. And due to the fact that Maguna is such a recent creation, their cursed energies, their signatures haven't had that much time to fuse yet. All Itadori is still a reflection of Sukuna, and Sukuna at this point, due to how he was resurrected, is still just a reflection of Itadori. So Nobara, coming out the clutch, uses resonance, slams, and I mean slams Itadori dead in the heart, because I guess I think that'd be poignant, slams him dead in the heart of, I guess, his heart, like just slams him dead in the center of the heart. And then Maguna, boom, he feels strange, and then you just have this sad, terrible moment, you know, because obviously Nobara and Itadori coming back together should be a big moment. Nobara coming back at all should be a really big moment, but have it to where Sukuna is able to resist it. He's the king of curses. Even Nobara, after getting whatever amp she gets from coming back, can't immediately exercise him through doing this, and Itadori is still alive due to his superhuman resilience and still his cursed energy. And as Nobara sees as her best friend, or not best friend, who knows, but one of her closest friends is struggling in pain and agony, he begs her, do it, let me play my role. And she just keeps slamming the hammer over and over and over again, and you see Maguna struggling more and more. Mahorgas start to fall away, the domain begins to collapse, Itadori begins to break, and like whatever hand signal he's making as he's trying to maintain benevolent shrine slowly breaks apart as Itadori, finally completing his mission, completing his goal, going out in the world happy that he protected his friends and got rid of Sukuna, perishes. And then Sukuna perishes along with him. Megami collapses to the ground, and every single sorcerer, including Gojo himself, stands over Itadori's passed away body and are like, darn, he was one of the best of us. Obviously, not all of them would say that. It would mainly be like Nobara and Gojo who are looking on like, like with that extra rage, and probably like Maki and stuff like that. Heck, you could even bring Todo back for this. Like, hypothetically, like I'm just thinking. I'm not even sure what I'm gonna call this video now. This is just supposed to be the great jumping of Sukuna, but so many ideas are flowing into my head right now. But like, this could be a great time to bring Todo back too. Obviously, before Itadori dies. But like, hypothetically, say it's getting too hectic, it's getting too crazy, and like even Gojo himself needs extra support. He needs time to teleport. Sukuna's gotten so much faster and stronger, and Maguna and these cursed Maharagas that are running around adapted to cleave and dismantle, they're getting too crazy. And suddenly, as Gojo is about to have his infinity slashed through for the first time in years, and then he swaps places with a rock, and Mahorga whiffs, and you see no one but the Chad with a either healed arm or a mechanical hand, Todo, ow, and he just starts clapping, and suddenly everyone starts switching. It starts getting chaotic. It's chaotic for everyone, but they're slowly getting into the rhythm. Toto's shaking his hands, throwing it back, making it clap, you know what I'm saying? Getting it nice, live, and crazy up in here, throwing a beat down. Sukuna's trying to get rid of him, but Toto's consistently swapping around too. He's clapping at crazy rates. Everything's going crazy. Like, the battle could just get nuts. I know Gege has such an amazing understanding of kinetic motion and art that I think they would be able to do this just fine. Like, the battle would still be coherent, and you have all these different characters coming together, understanding Toto's technique, understanding everything, and having Sukuna really struggle. And we have like pretty much a reenactment of the battle from 1,000 years ago. All these sorcerers reincarnated and new, the new limitless user, all fighting against the reincarnated, the reborn king of curses, the reborn deadliest creature, the strongest sorcerer that Kenjaku knows, all coming together and fighting off this reincarnated beast. And then, of course, once again, it ends with Itadori sacrificing himself one last time and giving up his life, giving up his body with nothing more than a smile on his face. Todo, Nobara, Gojo, Megami. You have him wake up and realize what happened, and just pain and agony. And the only things that like intervene with this is, one, it would be kind of crazy for everyone to just like appear, especially in short order. Like, you would have to like pace this out across a couple chapters. Like, you would have Maguna warming up, like he's just bullying Itadori for the first chapter, and then out of nowhere Maki shows up. They start throwing hands. We see a heavily restriction user properly up against Sukuna. Then I get who could show up next. Like, I'm trying to think of a solid order of who's closest and who's far. I think Hikari and Kashima would probably show up next because they're in Tokyo Colony number 2, so they should be the closest colony-wise. So they should be able to show up and start throwing hands with them too. Then Yuta can show up with Rika and Ryu, all that. Like, you could have so progressively build and have the battle get more and more chaotic as they all fight. Heck, you can even have Yorozu showing up relatively early. They could be the first person to show up, helping Itadori, being like, hey, thanks for bringing Sukuna back, kid. I'll take it from here. And then you have this amazing fight. Meanwhile, Itadori's realizing his curse technique development and all the stuff like that. And it could just get more and more chaotic, more and more crazy. And we really see why Sukuna's called the King of Curses. The main thing I have with this, outside of just like how the people show up here, like some people are pretty far away. Like, I forget. Where is Sendai relative to Tokyo? I don't actually know. I have no knowledge of geography at all. So like, I don't know how far it would take, but hey, we can make it work. But regardless, you could have all that, have Nobara come back, give that its own flair, have Toto come back, give that its own flair, and then have Miwa come back and slice Sukuna in half. No, I'm kidding. But regardless, you have all this, you have this big final, well, not final, big bombastic battle of all the biggest and baddest sorcerers to ever do it. And now that Sukuna's gone, they're all just left with nothing to do. But Kenjaku, who's been cooking like crazy. Bro has been chefing it up in the background. So ready, so well to do it. It's like, you all are fools. Did you think Sukuna wasn't part of my grand plan? And then suddenly the merger happens. Every single sorcerer is able to resist it, even with the little dregs of their cursed energy, because luckily enough, they still have some left over to resist. But the merger occurs. This big final battle was realistically all part of Kenjaku's plan. He just needed the last of the cursed energy. The military was a distraction. They were never going to produce enough cursed energy. But a battle between the King of Curses and the strongest sorcerers of yesteryear and today? Of course they'll release enough cursed energy for him to create the creature of his dreams. And then we have the real final battle. All in honor of Itadori, we have everyone come together. And I think this is a good way to bring in the last 5 missing Sukuna fingers, because that's the other big issue. Like, Sukuna would be gone. He would never be able to be resurrected at full power because 15 of his fingers just got sacked. But still, the 5 fingers left, Ume could consume them, or someone. Like, have someone eat them. I'm not sure who at this point. But have them and have Sukuna join them, like, in this one final bout, refusing to go out in a way like he did. Like, say the fingers resonate and they realize how he went out, and they're like, I'll do it for you. Well, nah, this seems so, like, I feel like this seems so out of character. I think you're just gonna have to find a way to either destroy the last 5 fingers or not include them, because I don't see Sukuna fighting along the rest of them. Even if, like, the only way I could see it is that you have the fingers be, like, the real final catalyst. Like, the last hand of Sukuna is what gives birth to this new final curse. Because, you know, Kenjaku does point out that Tengen's evolved form does very specifically look like Sukuna, so you could have Tengen, or like Kenjaku, in respect to his old friend, as he calls Tengen, use the last 5 fingers as like the 5 keys to awaken the mighty new Tengen, the mighty cursed beast. And then bada bing, bada boom, that's how Sukuna's properly finished off, when they defeat the massive cursed beast, restore all the people, but the fingers, all the cursed energy that was used up to make the cursed beast, just disappears. Like, it all just gets destroyed and atomized by that gigantic hollow purple or something like that. Then you can just end the series. I know I kind of went from like this is a jumping Sukuna match to Sweet Mother of Mercy, this is how I would end the series, but I think it would work. I think it would work really, really well. It would kind of wrap up pretty much everything. I mean, the only thing is you have to get rid of Kenjaku. But like, you could have Kenjaku fighting alongside the cursed beast, using the curses, really recreating the night parade of 1,000 demons, except it's literally Kenjaku along with 1,000 demons and the gigantic cursed creature that happens to be Tengen evolved to a higher level with all the cursed energy they absorbed. I think it would be really, really good. And notably, I know it sounds super crazy, super beyond the scale of anything JJK has done before. Like, yeah, but at the same time, we literally just saw a special grade sorcerer make a black hole. Obviously, Gege's willing to kick it up a notch, and I think this would be a great way to give full respect to Meguna, inadvertently and accidentally give Megami control over Maharaga, so Maharaga could be used in this final bout against the gigantic cursed beast, and Kenjaku, and have Maharaga really show off its full potential, adapting to literally every single curse, and getting resummoned over and over and over again, getting stronger and stronger with each time, and or empowering the other Shikigami by going away and giving them all of its adaptations. And it could even, if you want to get really fancy, it could keep the adaptations from the fight it got with Sukuna, making it essentially a secondary Sukuna that's under Megami's control, so you still have it like adapted to use cleave and stuff like that, and have all that, but now it's on the side of our heroes. And of course, you would definitely have some weird loose ends to wrap up. You need to somehow, like, I mean, I think Kashima would be satisfied. His curse technique would be used up. Maybe you could have him like be just done. He's like, alright, fine, I'm gonna go live a regular life. Ryu could obviously go live a regular life. Like every other sorcerer who showed up here does have alternate plans. Kashima was the only one who maybe like, I still want to fight people, and then he could fight Gojo all we want. Like that could be that epilogue, just Kashima versus Gojo. And Kashima getting slammed. But with that being the case, I think that would be a wonderful way to kind of just end off the series. The final chapter could literally just be Itadori's funeral and Megami thanking him for everything and all that. I think it kind of wraps up all loose ends. It would get rid of Kenjaku, it would get rid of the Cursed Beast, it would end the Culling Games, it would get rid of Sukuna, and Itadori would still end up dead. So we still have, like, Gege made a statement a while ago that he planned to have one of the students gone, no matter what, in one way, shape, or form. And if Nobara comes back, you would think that rule would be broken, but then you just have her end Itadori's life, and then bada bing, bada boom, you have that statement being true. And I could see that happening within this year. At the pace that Gege's going, I could see, we're only in February, so if he wants to end this year very specifically, the latest December, he could definitely do this, even with all the breaks he would need to take and stuff like that. I'm assuming the art toll this would take on him would be absolutely bonkers and out of this world, but I think Gege could do it, and I think I'd love it. I think you would hear me praising it to the high heavens. It may, like, it'll probably be up there with one of my favorite pieces of fiction, period, if it does something like this. I know it's my bias, I literally came up with it, but I think it'd be really, really cool overall. However, those are my thoughts on this is my crazy rambling on a hypothetical end to Jujutsu Kaisen / a jumping of Sukuna, all that came out from the Meguna reveal. So tell me what you guys think. Do you think my idea is dumb, stupid, crazy, and doesn't make any sense, and Gege should steer clear of it? Do you think this idea is cool? Do you have anything you would add to this? Any other characters? Any other thoughts? I know y'all Miwa fans out there are definitely trying to fist fight me for not including her. Maybe you could ever do a massive symbol domain to protect them from cleave or something like that. But overall, tell me all your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and make sure that little notification bell so you miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also I do a Patreon down below. You can support for as low as $1 monthly, links, exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Now, thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Nagel the Pencil, writing off.